Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Jared Moon. The Garage Gym Athlete Podcast is a result of my desire to build better humans, unequivocal coaches, and autonomous athletes. I've spent the last several years obsessing over program design, nutrition, and every other way you can optimize human performance. This podcast distills the latest scientific research with what I've learned and blends it with the not-so-scientific field of mental toughness. We are here to build you into a dangerously effective athlete. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find out more about our training at garagegymathlete.com. And if you want to pursue more into the field of coaching and programming, head to endof3fitness.com. Thanks for listening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jared Moon here with Ashley Hicks. What's up, Ashley?
Hey, what's up?
And we got Joe Courtney. What's up, Joe?
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm tired.
Just a little tired. I'm going to let you go first to the updates because you have a lot going on. I want to hear all the updates, hear all about it.
Still jet lagged. Just got back from Singapore. So that was a huge time difference back and forth in a very short vacation, if you want to call it that.
What is the time difference?
I think from California, it's ahead 16 hours. So it's actually, I think it's easier for your clock to actually just go back 8 hours. I think that makes more sense than ahead 16, but yeah, it gets weird. So over a week, it was 2 red-eye flights and a huge time difference change.
How long is the flight?
The leg from San Fran to Singapore is 17 hours.
17-hour flight, 16-hour time change. There for a couple days. All within a week.
First class flying, hey?
On the way there, first class, yeah. It was nice because I actually got like 6 hours of sleep on the plane, but it was still...
That's a lot of sleep.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, well, it helps with first class.
That's awesome. To be honest, I've never done any super long flights. I mean, I was born in Germany, so I did have to come back, but I was a baby.
You don't remember it.
I don't remember it at all. So
like
I've
6
done
or 7
it.
hours to the States or something like that.
Yeah, and living in Dallas, if you're going anywhere in the United States, it's 2.5 hours away. Doesn't matter where you want to go. New York, Maine, Washington, Canada, it's all all the same because you're in the middle. Mexico's like 30 minutes. But anyway, yeah, so I haven't done any long flights. We're thinking about going to Hawaii next year. So that would probably end up being the longest flight I've done. Still, 17 hours. I might just not go, like, anywhere.
It's a long time.
It's a beautiful place. You got to see it. Like, nah, it's a long flight.
Yeah, I think 17 is probably the longest I'll ever do. I think the longest you ever can do. I don't know.
Well, how are you doing otherwise? Are you fixed, broken? Like, where are we at in that? We missed you last week.
So I actually just had acupuncture yesterday, so that was pretty awesome. It was pretty interesting. You just laughing? What are you laughing about?
You and your PT.
Look, I like getting better. I like being a better human.
It's like a hobby at this point. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, acupuncture is awesome. It was really cool. It helped reset some things. So each acupuncturist has like a different style. In this one, she put needles in my shoulder, which that's what you do. But she also hooked up an e-stim electrode to the needle for a couple of minutes on the front and on the back. And it kind of like reset the muscles. So like some of my shoulder muscles either are hyperactive or inactive, and doing the electric through them with the needle kind of hits reset so that they actually listen to my brain versus doing whatever they're doing. So that was really cool. It feels great. Yeah.
Do you like Twitch?
Oh yeah, big time. Is Twitch just in that one spot? But yeah, it was going crazy for a while. It was good though.
Have to try it out.
Yeah. So that's about it. Not much for training wise. Just trying to get back into.
Did you work out in Singapore? Be honest.
No.
Not a single time.
No.
Did you walk?
Oh, we walk like 12 miles a day.
Okay. So you got some exercise. Some zone 2.
And it was very humid there. So, there was some mild sweating.
Actually, walking for you is probably like zone 0. Your heart probably doesn't even know it's happening.
Pretty much.
It's like, I got up to 37 beats per minute while walking.
I should have checked to see what my mine was after acupuncture. But
well, while you do that, Ashley, what's up? How's life?
life is good. The only big change for me is I changed my workout time because Florida it's going to start getting hot, and Connor is dropping the morning nap. He's kind of shifting. He's, a guerrilla warfare fighter. That's what I call kids. Right when you think you figured them out, they change their tactics, and then you got to go from there.
Good.
Anyways, so I'm working out at 5:30 in the morning. Still getting my sleep though. Tramp has put a thing out on Facebook, and I'm in bed by 8. I know it's early for some people, but that way I can get my reading in, and then Scott and I are probably asleep anywhere from 8:30 to 9. So I'm still getting the 8.5 hours of sleep, and then crushing that workout. So my body's kind of have to get used to it. I still am, I'm not moving slow. It's just, it feels different, I guess.
That early?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't think I ever got used to it. I worked out that early probably for like 3 years and never felt, and not that I felt bad. I just never felt as good as I do in the afternoon when I train.
Right. When I was doing today's, so BD's doing a lot of German volume training, and while I'm doing all these squats, 10 sets of 10 reps with tempo, which is lovely. All I kept thinking about was, man, I probably would have a lot more energy at 9 a.m. than I would at 5:30. But yeah. And then just adding, so whey and cheese are good for my diet. And I'm still not eating refined sugar, or I haven't had alcohol in 2 months now. So, yeah.
Crushing it.
Yeah. It's been
awesome.
good.
I'm going to have to deal with the dilemma of waking up to work out early or dealing with the heat in Bahrain. And I think I'm probably going to go with the heat, just because 5:30 wake ups sound miserable, even more miserable than 120 degree weather. But we'll see.
Mean, you can, I don't know. You'll get used to the heat, right? Like I lived in Florida for a few years and worked out middle of the day, and same in Texas. It's miserable, but you get used to it. Updates from me, really just everything effort energy wise is going towards getting the book Killing Comfort out and published. So if you are a part of any of our groups, like Garage Gym Athlete, the Facebook groups, we started a Killing Comfort, or I started Killing Comfort page, our group in Facebook. So doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff there, getting people involved with just everything that's going on. And so if you want to be a part of that, you can still go to killingcomfort.com and sign up for that. Cause like I said, that's where a lot of my effort is going towards, trying to get the first in-hand copy, within the next couple of weeks. Editor is like, it's crazy how I thought that I did a decent job, like writing it. Like, I'm sure there's some errors, but like, I feel like it's okay. And I told you guys the first page in the first chapter, when I got it back from the editor, had 57 corrections. And I was like, oh, wow. And so that's just it's a time consuming process, because you have to read through what they suggest, because they can actually just completely change how you were trying to say something, because they'll be like, you need to say this differently to be, technically correct. And I'm like, well, but I want to say it the other way. And so sometimes you have to be like, reject that change, accept this change. Anyway, so going through all that and trying to get the book out. I don't have an official date yet, because I need a copy in my hand first before I can really start pushing it. But end of April, beginning of May is my time frame that I want to get it out there. So we'll see. We're pushing it close, like really freaking close. So go to killingcomfort.com if you want to be a part of that book. I'm really excited to get it out there and get it published, and looking forward to doing that. All right. Getting into today's podcast. I've mentioned on the podcast multiple times that the two most studied researched supplements out there, and probably the only ones worth you investing any of your money or time into, would be caffeine and creatine. And really, I think more so creatine, because I feel like it's a little bit safer than caffeine can be. It doesn't have as many detrimental effects as caffeine can. But today we are going to be talking specifically about caffeine. There was a study done 2019, said women experience the same ergogenic response to caffeine as men. So Skinner 2019. So we are talking about, and the reason I really like this study, and I'm gonna reference a lot of other studies in this, I'm just going to kind of read the results of some other studies just to let you know how proven caffeine is. But the reason I like this one specifically is because of it's women and men. They tested both in the study. So there's no, this is just research in general. I don't really know why, but women kind of get the crap into the stick for, I don't know why, like they're not studying women in performance and fitness in a lot of reasons. So when we find one that we can cover both and I feel like it's adequate, we're going. So like I was saying, just getting into women and men, something that's studied equally, both, that's great. So we found the study that's doing that, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit more detail. So the study itself, let's see, 27 trained cyclists and triathletes, 11 women, 16 men, and they were between 18 and 45 years old. All had raced competitively and were currently undergoing intense training. All of the women were also required to be using oral contraceptives. More details about that, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And I think you had something to say about that, Ashley. But anyway, it was apparently the best type of study ever. So it was a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled crossover study. And so that means the researchers didn't even know what they were giving. The people didn't know what they were getting. Each person had to be tested with both. So just really that is like the best type of study that you can do. And there were some benefits to taking caffeine. But before I get into any of that, I want to just kind of hear what you guys have to say about caffeine in general, what your big takeaways were from the study. And we can talk a little bit more about some of the findings and what they did and everything. So Ashley, I'll let you start.
Sure. So for the study, basically what I wrote down here is that caffeine obviously seems to improve both the performance for both male and female, but they kind of touched on it a little bit. And my first point was, if I was working out in the afternoon, I am not sure that I would supplement with caffeine just because, last week's podcast, we were talking about sleep, and caffeine can affect your sleep. Gosh, what did they say? Is it 6 to 8 hours? Even after you've taken the caffeine, it has not left your body. So,
and everybody processes a little bit differently. Like I know I could probably have caffeine. I'm talking about, I don't know what's actually in my blood, but just as far as affecting sleep, if I have something at like 2 or 3 p.m., it's going to affect my sleep.
Yeah.
Any earlier than that, I'm fine. Emily, like if she doesn't really drink caffeinated coffee anymore, but I know if she has caffeine at like 9 a.m., like as late as 9 a.m. is probably going to affect her sleep. It just lasts a lot longer. So everybody's way different, but yeah.
Yeah. So if you are working out later in the afternoon, then I would tell you, is the juice worth the squeeze? In my personal opinion, no. And I would not supplement with caffeine later on in the afternoon. And then I talked about, since I'm working out now early, I don't actually drink any caffeine, or I just consume some water before I wake up. Plus, I've heard that it's easier to wake up with a cold glass of water than a warm drink. So I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I do that anyways. And I work out fasted and I don't have any coffee before. So I thought, oh man, maybe I should get in a cup of caffeine now. So we're looking at this. But the caveat, I don't want to take your point, Joe, but I'm just going to touch on it, is that if you are a coffee drinker, the more caffeine you consume, the more used to it your body gets. I guess the more used to your body gets on the caffeine. So it won't work as well for you, or maybe not even at all. So if you are constantly drinking coffee and then try to use, let's say you have a cup in the morning and then let's say your workout time is 10, didn't they say you drink it about 30 to 60 minutes prior to? So if you drink a cup of coffee 30 minutes prior, it might not be doing anything for you anyways. So yeah, I don't know. I guess my takeaway for this was, I drink coffee and I probably am not going to supplement with caffeine in order to get, better performance, even though it did say that it did increase both women and men's performance. So,
yeah, I think how much is worth noting. Joe, what did you have?
Yeah, just off of that, any habitual coffee drinker knows that as they drink more coffee, they get more resistant to it. So they have more cups of coffee. So if you don't, any of it's pretty much makes sense. But they said they gave them 3 milligrams of caffeine. That's like Almost nothing. I just Googled like a caffeine in a cup of coffee, and it's 95 milligrams in a cup of coffee. So three is like
3 milligrams per kilogram of body weight.
That makes more sense then.
That was one of my points, because they recommend a range of 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram. And so for me, 185 pound male, that's almost 84 kilograms. That's 250 to 500 milligrams of caffeine. Now 250 is not crazy. I pulled up some stuff on like a grande Starbucks. I've always known that Starbucks has more caffeine because I can just feel it. Like we have an espresso machine at our house, and espresso actually generally has about half as much caffeine as coffee. And so I drink espresso, which is so just less caffeinated. But if we go have like, if I get a Starbucks or something, which isn't super frequently, I could just tell I'm like, yeah. Anyway, grande Starbucks is 360 milligrams of coffee. And a normal cup of coffee is 95 to 120 milligrams. So that's a lot of caffeine. That's a lot of caffeine. So yeah. Anyway, what else did you have, man?
I liked how they controlled the nutrition the day before. I think they supplied the meals, and then they went even so far as to eliminating cruciferous vegetables and charred meats for women, which I thought was strange. I'd never heard of how that affects caffeine. That was interesting. But then I looked into how, as they were working out, and because we've been doing so much zone 2 and training and stuff, while they were working out, they said even though their metrics were better, their heart rate was more increased. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure how that would, if that would be ideal for most situations, especially doing zone 2 training, raising it 5 beats, get you out of zone 2 real quick.
Yeah. And then this is why some people crap on heart rate training in general, because there's so many other factors that can increase your heart rate. But, and that's why you kind of want to stay away from caffeine. I mean, I think I used to take pre-workout supplements like back in the day, like college, like that I almost couldn't work out. Like if I ran out of a pre-workout supplement, I'd be like, I don't know if I'll work out today.
Wow.
Like,
yeah, I was on that train too.
That thought would go through my head. No idea. I mean, that was probably a ridiculous amount of caffeine, but what ended up making me stop, and actually stop a long time ago, was I played racquetball, and racquetball is just like a super high intensity. Like the whole time is high intensity. So really high heart rate. And I found like, okay, if I have this pre-workout supplement and do racquetball, it like literally feels like my heart is about to explode. So I stopped taking pre-workout supplements, and then that all resolved itself. And I really just haven't been on that pre-workout train ever since. But I know a lot of people out there are still like, the only thing I think about pre-workout now are macronutrients, like, or I train fasted, depending on, most of the time in recent history, it's been fasted. So yeah, I don't do caffeine for pre-workout, and haven't for a long time.
Yeah. I drink coffee every day, obviously, but I know that if I drink a bunch of coffee within 30 minutes or so of my workout, then I'll feel kind of jittery and my heart rate will be higher, and it's not as comfortable. So I actually cut that off a little bit before, but I think the caffeine's already in my system to help at least kickstart things.
Yeah, I drink coffee every morning. Definitely have to. It's just, it's one of the best parts of my day.
Yes, I look forward to it.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in my cup.
You don't drink Folgers.
I don't drink Folgers.
We're too bougie with our coffee.
Yeah.
I had a couple questions though, maybe that you guys dove in. So they talked about the women that were on contraception, and so it says, curious if all women were on contraception, like were there ones who weren't on the pill, like, or did they?
I think that was a requirement.
Like they had to be on contraception.
All the women were also required to be using oral contraceptives.
Yeah. So I wonder why they did that. And then they talked. Sorry.
I think the only reason, in all honesty, is because if a woman were to have gotten pregnant during the study, it would have completely altered their results. And so I think that's the only real. I can't think of anything else unless there's something that could also be dangerous, right? Like, I mean, it's conflicting information. Can you have caffeine when you're pregnant? And most of I think doctors are like, yeah, okay, 1 cup, whatever, right. Not a big deal. But these are, if we're talking pumping in 350 milligrams of caffeine into a female and she's pregnant, that might be a little bit more serious. And then if the author of the study could be responsible for a miscarriage, like it's just, I think
jacked up on Mountain Dew.
I think that's the reason why they did it.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And they also talked about the hormone phase of the one. Anyways, it's a lot of stuff with hormonal. Anyways, in the high hormone phase. So I just was looking up on, because myself being a woman, like
don't ask me about no high hormone phase. That is your department. That's why you're here, actually, because you're supposed to give us the insights on the females, because we don't know anything.
The high hormone phase is basically after you release the egg. And so I was wondering, like, I mean, why, if typically, so all of these athletes were have been working out for a long time. Like that was a requirement too, was that they were. So my thing is you're going to work out all the time. I don't understand like why they decided to test females on just this phase. Like, you know, you're going to work out all the time during your cycle. So anyways.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. I don't know if they're just trying to be so, because it sounded like they were trying to be ridiculous with this study. Joe's mentioning they're the type of vegetables and they're controlling the nutrition, and it was, you know, double blind, placebo controlled crossover, all that stuff. So I wonder if they're just like, nobody's going to speak badly about my study. So we're also going to even control for the menstrual cycle. You know, like, I don't know if that's, I have no idea why they would do that, but I think trying to keep things all the same. But that is a tight study. Now, I will say, if anybody wants to go read it, they did 5 different tests. I'm not going to read them all off. Like there's VO2 max and some other stuff, but I feel like when I just like jabber those things off, it probably just goes in one ear out the other. If you want to go read the study, you can. It'll tell you exactly what they did. They just did a bunch of cycling tests and tested power. But what was interesting is kind of the improvement, right? So it was 4.6 and 4.3% improvement in women and men respectively. So again, we go back to this, like, I forget which podcast, what was it, 1 or 2 ago, we're talking about a 5% difference, you know, 4 to 5% difference. Is it worth it? And when is it worth it? And I'm going to say no, not this amount. Like if I had to have 500 milligrams of caffeine for men were less. So 4.3% improvement. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just don't think that I'd feel very good on that much caffeine. And yeah, like Joe said, like increasing the heart rate, I don't think I'd want to be doing that too often, because I don't think that there's anything wrong. Like you can look at a lot of the research on caffeine, in small to moderate amounts seems to be fine and actually can help with some like mental side of things. I think like there's research on like Alzheimer's and just cognitive decline and things like that. People who drink caffeine typically don't experience those things as early. Now I don't have any studies on that. I've read it before, but I forgot where I got that factoid, so don't quote me on it. But there are just some other studies like that I pulled up. There's meta-analysis showed significant effects of caffeine ingestion on maximal muscle strength of upper body and muscle power, and then improved wind gate performance, which is like where you're on a bike. It's a really shitty test. And overall caffeine ingestion improves maximal voluntary contraction, strength, and muscular endurance. And what else do we have? I like the name of the study was Wake Up and Smell the Coffee. Then it was a colon, and then caffeine supplementation and exercise performance, an umbrella review of 21 published meta-analyses. The reason I like that is because I always give these people a hard time for the way they name their studies, but this one was awesome. Wake Up and Smell the Coffee. Anyway, also, they reviewed 21 studies. Caffeine is awesome. So there's no debating whether or not it's going to be helpful, but now that we kind of know, it's like, oh, well, 4%, 5%, and is it worth it? Because ingesting that much caffeine is going to make caffeine way less effective if you drink it in the morning just for work or for life or whatever. So I don't think I'll do this. You guys, you think you'll do these ergogenic sized doses of caffeine for performance?
I have to measure what my cup is, because I have a pretty big cup.
You're like, I might already be doing it.
Yeah, there's a good
looks
chance.
Black. Do you drink coffee black straight?
Oh yeah. Yeah, mine's black.
You're
and it's a really big,
black as well,
really large mug. Pour over too, so it's good stuff.
Oh, wow. Dude, you're consuming a lot of caffeine. So
because pour over is even more.
Yeah, like I did exactly what you were doing. Like the whole time I lived in North Carolina, I don't know why, I just switched to pour over at that point in my life, and we had these giant mugs, so I do a pour over every day, and I just felt a little bit different than I do now when I drink it. It's like a little bit like shaky. So yeah, I can tell when I have a lot of caffeine. Yeah.
But I try and drink it slowly throughout the first like 4 hours of the day and not just pound it real quick.
I just like take shots and then I'm kidding. Yeah. And I enjoy caffeine, but I would say if you do want to do it, so big takeaway, upside, it can help your performance, max maybe 5%. And you need to consume it 30 to 90 minutes before your event. So if you have a one-off event that you want to do this for, I wouldn't, remember, always never like on game day, don't try something new on game day. So probably test it ahead of time, but man, that's a lot of caffeine. And it's 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram. So find out how much you weigh in kilograms and multiply that by 3 to 6. That's your range of caffeine of how much you should be consuming if you want to use this. And then the only two downsides we talked about, building up tolerance, it's not great. And then also sleep. So those are kind of my takeaways. It's like, maybe it's a tool in the toolbox if you test it out first and then you want to try it before a Spartan race or something, you want to perform really well in. Maybe it's worth it. But at the same time, like the 100-mile bike race, I couldn't see consuming that much caffeine and then going. I just feel like caffeine shouldn't make me like something that makes my heart beat faster. I shouldn't like go do something that also makes my heart beat faster. It's a weird thing in my brain, but makes you better, makes you perform better at least.
Yeah, I'd say, the dosage wise, it's not a situation where some is good, so more must be better.
Yeah, that's an absurd amount. Anyway, I've said it enough. Ashley, are you going to start pounding giant size doses?
Maybe you just have one like once a week, like on a conditioning day. The next time you have your crazy squats or whatever, you might need some extra motivation.
Well, because then they talked about that too with caffeine, that it actually like decreases the amount of like pain or, let me see if I can find it so that way I don't say this
RPE.
wrong. Yeah. So just for me, I don't know. I just don't want to jack with that much caffeine. I'll stick to I drink 2 cups in the morning. I'm on my 2nd cup right now. But you
guys are making me want to drink more coffee.
It's so good.
Is that a Harry Potter mug?
It is.
Nice.
I solemnly swear I'm up to no good.
You guys, I don't even know what Harry Potter is.
What? Anyways, so no, the answer is no. I will not drink that much caffeine because 5% is not, the juice is not worth the squeeze in my personal opinion. I said it earlier and I'll say it again. So.
All right. Well, then let's get to the topic. So I thought it'd be interesting. I've asked this question to a lot of people now. So you get asked on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast if you are part of that. And then you also got asked on the Better Humanology podcast if you're part of that. One of the questions I asked is, in your opinion, what's the best activity for building mental toughness? And it's cool. It's been cool to see people's answers evolve and change over the years about what that looks like. I know when I first started asking that question on the Better Humanology podcast, it would like really throw a guest off. Especially if I would send prep ahead of time, like you're going to get asked these questions, but people didn't pay attention to that. They'd be like, okay, I guess I'll answer that. But anyway, I want to throw it to you guys. I'll give my answer as well, but would love to hear what you think, and I like to throw it in best activity. It's got to be some sort of activity for building mental toughness. So Ashley, you go.
Okay.
What, do you want me to ask it again?
No.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you can if you want.
No, I get it.
Okay. Best activity for mental toughness. So I was on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Actually, I think I'm episode 1 of season 1.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways, so my old answer was always try and learn something new. Always try and educate yourself. Which I still love and I still will stick to. But we recently did a podcast with, we had Patrick Sweeney on the episode, and he talked about do something that you fear, or right? Do something that is super out of that scares you every single day. That's super out of your comfort zone. And so I would say that is a great way to build mental toughness. Go outside your comfort zone and do something you thought you'd never do. And my example was doing the 15-mile Spartan with you guys. Never thought I would do a Spartan Beast or, gosh, go that far. before then, the longest I had run, if you will, is 5 miles. Now, did I run the entire time for the 15 miles? No. But at the end, it was cool because it was like, man, mentally, I did this, physically I did this, and it definitely is a cool story to tell people how we survived this. A great exercise, do something small. Like you could start with cold showers, or you could start with, let's say you've want to do a competition or have always thought about it and thought, well, man, I just don't really feel like I can do this. Sign up for one, sign up with a partner, but I say start with something small. Don't go too crazy, like jump out of an airplane tomorrow.
That'll
but
be
I
easier
think,
than a Spartan.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're just
maybe
falling.
scarier, but yeah, there's just
falling.
once you're out, like it's over. You're the dead or
yeah. That's something I'm fearful of. So maybe one day I'll jump out of an airplane, and that'll, be my killing comfort, if you will. But yeah, I agree with what he said. And so I say, do something out of your comfort zone every day. Whether that be, working out, like starting the workout, or even doing something small with, around your house or with food or something you thought you would never do. Go ahead, give it a try. And I think that's builds great mental toughness. As far as my exercise, I would say cold showers. Those suck. In Florida, they're not too bad.
Same with Texas, yeah.
England, they were terrible.
Yeah, you got to live in the right spot for a cold shower to make sense, or to be, well, it's all relative, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has their own tolerance. Joe.
Yeah, I was gonna originally, when the question came up, my first thought went to Spartan because that was miserable. So it basically be physically uncomfortable for a long period of time because that was just terrible. Cold, obstacles, torn hamstring, all the above. Everything sucked. But I'll go a different direction and more about building habits of doing something to better yourself every day, like but a small thing, and then keeping that up for a long time. So everybody wants to build habits, and especially when doing resolutions and doing other things like that. It's like, okay, for this month, I'm going to do this every day. But then, like, what happens after that month? You keep on doing it. If you're already doing it, then just keep on doing it. So I would say those little implementing 1% changes in your life all the time.
It's a great answer. I like both your answers. I don't know what I really have to add to that. So I kind of agree. I think to build mental toughness, I feel like you guys have hit the two different areas that I think of mental toughness. There's like these big events, and it doesn't have to be Spartan race, but just things in life, like maybe you're going through a certain type of school or a course or something that's really hard, and it's going to build some mental toughness in you, but that's like a one-time thing and then it's over. Right. And so I think that builds mental toughness to a certain degree. And then I think what Joe's talking about builds the life mental toughness. Like, can you grind on a same task over and over every single day? And that's what I've been leaning towards more lately, is just I try to pick a hard thing every single day, like as just like the start of my day. Like, what's the hard thing that you are going to do today? And really the hard thing is not the hard thing is really something you don't want to do, in my opinion. And so that is it. If it can be the same thing over and over, like a habit, like Joe's talking about, that's the most beneficial. But for me, like the habit for me is just doing the thing that I don't want to do, a hard thing. And so that it can be different every day. It can be like, we've talked about, like maybe I don't want to do the dishes, and that'll be hard for me today, but I'm going to do it anyway. Or it could be, there's just 100 little things in life that come up. But I think if you're picking a hard thing, something that you don't really want to do, and it could be a workout. Like there's some days where I'm like, I just don't want to train today. Well, okay, that's definitely something that you need to do. Pull the whole Greg Eisenhower approach. Like the times you don't want to is when you absolutely have to. So I would say just picking a hard thing to do each day, something that you don't want to do, and then doing it anyway is going to build up that daily resilience to get better. But I think what you need to pay attention to most in actually building the mental toughness is the internal chatter. So the self-talk. Because I really don't think if you do something that's hard or pushed yourself, but you didn't change the conversation in your brain in the process, I don't really think it's improving you. So like say you did the Spartan race and it was miserable for you, but you just were mad the whole time, complaining, like, you know, and like you just never were able to like reframe the conversation in your brain. I think that's the hardest part though, when something's really hard. Like the expectation shouldn't just be, okay, no, this is really crappy, so I'm just gonna enjoy it and pretend like it's fun. That's what I'm talking about. I'm like, that's the whole premise of Meet Yourself Saturday, is like pushing yourself to a point where you find like, oh wow, I want to quit, I don't want to do this, and then trying to just have a different conversation. So no matter what that is, I think trying to change that conversation is the biggest point of actually improving the mental toughness. Because if I don't want to do the dishes, but I do the dishes anyway, but I'm just like pissed off the whole time, like, I didn't want to do this, I wanted to watch TV or something like that. Did you really, like, was that tough? Like, was that mental toughness, or did you just do something because, you knew you kind of had to? I feel like there's a big difference there. But if you can change the conversation to, no, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be able to find some way that this is making me better. So change that internal conversation, I think, is the little silver lining of what I'm trying to get across for doing hard things.
Yeah, I like that too. I think that if you can change your critical thinking, if you're thinking negative all day long, you're like, what is that doing to you? You know what I mean? And if you can change that to a positive and then apply that into something like what we just talked about, shoot, you can do so much if you change your internal thinking.
My internal conversation during that Spartan race was not for mass consumption.
In certain parts for me, yes, I would agree with you, Joe. But
well, that's the point where I actually say you're meeting yourself. Because if everything's just like if we all did like a 5-mile Spartan race, we probably just would have like laughed through the whole thing.
I was gonna say, yeah,
and like had a good time and then been done. But we never would have got to that point where we're like, no, seriously, this is stupid and I'm mad about it. Like, which we all got there at some point. So I think that's where you truly meet yourself. You're like, okay, I'm there. How do I change this dialogue? I think that's how you hone the skill of building mental toughness. All right, that's all I have.
Speaking of long mental brutal dialogues.
I know. I feel like you chose the topic well for this.
It's almost like I planned it.
Oh man.
So the workout, who wants to brief it?
Broken Arrow.
I don't have it pulled up.
So the workout is Broken Arrow.
Yep.
Which is Murph with a lot of other stuff. I'll brief it. So you buy in with a vest if you have a vest. So you're going to do 150 squats, 100 push-ups, and 50 strict pull-ups. No partitioning. So that means you put the vest on, you'll do 150 squats, then 100 push-ups, then 50 strict pull-ups. No kipping allowed. And then you're going to take the vest off. We always have to make sure we're clear on that part. Take the vest off, then bike 10 miles, run 3 miles, and do 1,000 double unders. And then at the end, after that 1,000th double under, you are going to cash out, no vest, 150 squats, 100 push-ups, and 50 pull-ups, kipping allowed, but still no partitioning. And I think I'm not going to say them all now, but if you watch the athlete brief video on YouTube or you see it in the app, there is scaling for established and recruit athletes. So just going fewer on the mileage, fewer on the double unders, fewer on the repetitions for the calisthenics. So established and recruit, you guys have those. So that is a lot of stuff. We'll go over tips, strategies, and everything else. Ashley, what do you have?
So this is the only Meet Yourself Saturday I think I've never done that I have not completed.
Oh, are you going to do it?
Yeah. I did say on my notes, I said, unless I'm sick, I will crush this one. So I've always either been out of town or I don't know why I've not done Broken Arrow because a lot of people... Do you have
a bike?
So Scott has a mountain bike and it's a boy mountain bike and I don't think I'm going to bike. So that means 16,000 meters. right? Because 1 mile is 1,600 meters.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Yeah, times by 10. That's 16,000 meters of rowing.
Oh, you're going to row it. Wow.
Well, that's not.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's way too much.
Are you sure?
You don't equate bike to rowing 1-to-1.
So, but you put row on there.
Did I?
You did. You said if you don't have a bike, you can row it.
Oh, is this one of those where I'm just like being a complete
So,
like, look, if you don't want a bike, you're going to row the full amount. But what mindset was I in when I programmed this one? I'll let you know.
I don't know. Anyways, we'll get back with the rowing. But so I'm going to row it, whatever that may be. And so my tips on this, especially with the calisthenics, just do these. Don't go too hot out the gate. So keep your heart rate at a decent level. It's going to be a little bit challenging because of the vest. I do plan to do it vested. I just got a vest. Whoop, whoop. So, and then for obviously the strict pull-ups, we talked about this last week. If you can't do 50 strict pull-ups without a vest, don't try to attempt it with. And so do inverted rows, do ring rows, whatever you need to do instead. And then do it I can't believe I'm taking a page out of Joe's book, but you have to kind of pace yourself for this one. You can't just go. So, you could.
Tips.
You always have good tips.
I think you have the most user-friendly tips. So yeah, you do have great tips.
Yeah. So just a steady pace. Don't burn out quickly, and try to get the calisthenics done as efficiently as you possibly can. But again, don't try to kill yourself.
All right, Joe, what do you have? Great tips.
Yeah. This is just a grind. Slow and steady. It wins the race, kind of. You're not going to win any races, but it'll be fine. I say with the double unders, they took a little bit longer than expected, and I'm really good at them. But break those up. Have a plan to break those up, whether it's in 50s, 20s. I did mine in hundreds, but that's me. And after I would do them, I would grind through and do whatever my partition was or whatever the set was, and then I would break. I would set the rope down, shake out my hands, because the first quarter, first third of them might feel really good, but then toward the end, that last third, your shoulders are tired, your forearms are cramping. Like I clip sometimes because I actually couldn't hold the jump rope. So
wow,
that happens. Yeah,
that's some serious double under.
Heart rate is spiked too with that many double unders.
Yeah. Also don't get up into your high 80% of your heart rate if you're monitoring that stuff, because it's a long time. It's probably I think it took me around an hour and 20 something, hour and a half, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think that's close to where I was at. So it's my tips on this one. I like to say just
go faster.
I like to say go fast, but I would say go fast through the calisthenics. That's where I would say don't pace yourself. So, because at the end, you're done. Let's just get them done as fast as you can. It's really not going to screw you up. I think in the bike, because bike can be such a recovery modality. You can go as slow as you want when you first get on the bike. So I would say do the calisthenics as fast as you can, but then the rest of it, minus the double unders, I think does take some extreme pacing. But I think you should also push yourself, because if you don't push yourself on the 10-mile bike, you're going to lose a lot of time. And I think I'm going to do this one. The last time I did it, I don't think I had the Concept 2 bike erg. And I think I might use it this time, because I think it'll shave a significant amount of time off, just because stationary bikes are, you just go so much. It's easy to keep 20 to 25 mile an hour pace on a stationary bike. But when you're on a real bike, that's not the case. It's there's wind and there's a hill and there's all these other things. So I've never done it on that. I don't think so. I'm going to do that and push myself to, I don't know, I'm trying to think, upper zone 3 maybe, just for people to actually know where I'm at. And then the 3 miles is always kind of we'll see what happens. 3 miles is if I could do 7-minute miles for each one, that would be great. Any faster would be phenomenal. And then double unders as fast as you can. Same with the ending calisthenics. But
I might go to base then so I can bike this thing.
Well,
We'll see.
if I was looking
Better
at the
have your reflective
substitution
vest and
chart-
helmet on and all those things.
No, but I mean by bike, like stationary bike, like he
Oh,
says,
yeah.
they have Concept 2 bikes on base. And there's a great path for like a 3-mile run. And obviously I can do all my calisthenics. They have a Rogue rig, so I can do my pull-ups and stuff there.
So if anyone who does use our app, you can click more, then you click documents and links, and then there's a substitution conversion chart. And I think it looks like bike to row is half for women.
Oh,
So, and it's not half for men. So pull up that chart. But that's what it looks like it is from technically a bike erg over to women rowing. You would be at half. So if you do that, and anybody else who wants to look at if you're thinking about using a different apparatus, definitely go check out the substitution chart and you can change it. Maybe I'm in a nicer mood today. I don't know, but yeah, go substitute appropriately. And
what he's saying is don't row 16,000 meters.
That's a big
Just
row.
8,000.
Like I'm trying to think, like I've done 60 minute row for max meters. And I'm trying to think of like where I got to. I can't remember, but I feel like it's
nowhere near that.
no, I think it is. I think it's like 16 to 20,000 meters. I can't remember now. So maybe that's a half hour. I have no actual clue at the moment. I have been rowing a lot less lately, so not fresh in my brain. But if it's an hour, that would be hilarious because yeah, you would row for an hour and then you got run 3 miles and 1,000 double unders left. So
and then you got to do the other calisthenics. So.
Yeah. So good luck. It's I am not doing Murph anymore. So you will see Broken Arrow, Condition Me to the Grave. All of my favorite workouts are going to pop up in the programming just so I can do them.
It's going to be so great.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's it. That's all we have for this podcast. I'll end it how I've been ending it every time. If you really like the podcast, what we're doing, chasing the research and really trying to be the best at programming and deliver the best service possible, you want to support everything that we're doing. Pretty simple. It's not a donation model. This is a go sign up for a free trial, and you will be supporting us by getting awesome training. Yes, it does cost money, but that's how you support us as opposed to just donating money for listening to a podcast. So go do that if you haven't already. And for everyone else who is already following the programming, we appreciate you so much. Thanks for being one of our athletes, and we will catch you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.